Well, we're back again with yet another belated no-fluff analysis, but a no-fluff analysis nonetheless. We're going to be covering the 2 water spirals added to Laranoa and Renee. Let's get straight to it with the 5-star water bow Laranoa with her first skill, Vivid Volley. Pre-spiral it dealt 1904% damage over 14 hits. It now deals 1974% and also inflicts Frostbite. The shared skill point cost also went from 9,241 to 9,754, which is a slight increase of roughly about 5%, I would say. Laranoa's second skill is Hunter's Intuition. It used to be a proximity buff giving 20% strength for 15 seconds, and 20% increase to the skill gauge fill rate for 10 seconds. The skill gauge fill rate buff now buffs by 25% for 15 seconds, with the addition of a 10% defense buff for 10 seconds. With an extra adventurer next to Laranoa, it also buffs crit rate by 10% for 10 seconds, and with the 2 extra adventurers it also refills the S1 Vivid Volley for immediate use. Laranoa's first ability of hits equals critical damage used to grant 10% crit damage for 20 seconds every 20 hits. It now grants the same bonus but every 15 hits instead. Stun Resist has become Potent Stun Resist, and her final ability of 30% skill damage has a small increase to 35%. Overall, these are fairly gentle buffs in terms of numbers from its spiral. Laranoa becomes a bit more Laranoa, with her unique hits equals critical damage becoming 25% more potent and gaining a Summer Cleo-esque reset on her proximity buff. In this way, she actually becomes a good pairing for Karina, but without the buff count scaling ability to really abuse her buffs herself. With some extended uptime on a boss, Laranoa should be able to stack up a decent amount of buffs on herself to really increase the power of her crits, but I don't think Laranoa will really be able to push Karina out of the meta for now. Not to mention, multiple mechanics in Master Twins disrupts Laranoa's ability to simply sit and attack, causing her buffs to fall off. At the very least though, I can see Laranoa/Karina becoming a powerful pairing in solo teams, potentially for harder difficulties of Mercurial Gauntlet in the future, or if Legend Difficulty Twins is a soloable fight. Next along we have the 4-star water dagger Renee. Her first skill, Droplet Slash, dealt 1866% over 6 hits and also had a 100% chance of inflicting Bog, as well as a 5% defense reduction for 10 seconds. The damage has increased by a tiny amount to 1878%, and the Bog chance has increased to 110%. The SP cost when used as a shared skill has increased about 15%, going from 10,861 to 12,479. Renee's second skill, Drenching Strike, used to deal 1,468% damage across 4 hits, as well as buffing her defense by 10% for 5 seconds. It's seen a minor damage increase to 1,476%, and the defense buff has gone to 20% for 20 seconds. Using Drenching Strike now also grants Renee the Cooling Master buff. Her next Force Strike will have an 120% chance of inflicting Freeze. Renee's first ability of Primed Devastation has gone from 6% to 10%, Stun Resist has become Potent Stun Resist, and her Team Healing double buff has gone from 1% of max hit points to 1.5%. So I believe this spiral makes Renee the only character capable of inflicting both Freeze and Bog without any skill shares. Overall, the buff to all of Renee's abilities as well as her first skill are pretty tame, but the additional capability to freeze after using Drenching Strike adds a decent amount of utility to Renee. This is also a pretty big boon against the twins, and I can foresee using Renee as a budget option for a backliner in solo twins teams as a means to prevent the twins from stacking their strength buffs too high. While Renee isn't the only character capable of inflicting freeze, the only other 4-star non-limited options are Awesome and Celiera, where Renee beats them out in terms of utility due to providing a team regen double buff as well as Primed Devastation, working incredibly well with a Karina lead. Overall, both characters receiving spirals this time have seen very minor tweaks to their abilities, but gaining a large amount of utility with their second skills. Neither spiral strikes me as immediately broken or overpowered, but this also means that I don't think it'll do much to disrupt the Karina meta all that much. However, that's not to say that they won't be able to slot in. I can see Laranoa being welcomed into a Karina team since she can still buff the rest of the team very well, and she might even work well using Feline Hospitality in a double buff heavy team to really capitalize on her crit based kit. As for Renee, her main gain is the ability to freeze after using her S2. In slower runs of twins, this can be pretty important since allowing the strength buff to stack too high will slowly overwhelm the team. Freeze also allows a few seconds of uninterrupted DPS, against some mechanics like the alternating red and purples, circles and donuts, as well as the spinning lasers. Inflicting freeze at the right moments can make Master Twins runs go much faster. Renee in a Karina team could potentially also inflate the buff count by quite a bit due to her team-wide healing double buff, and inflicting bog at key moments can be a big boon to overall damage inflicted. In summary, both Spiraled Adventurers can potentially be slotted into a Karina team so long as you plan and build around the double buff meta that Water is currently playing with. I also spent a few minutes coming up with some basic Wormprint setups for both Spiraled, Laranoa and Renee in a Karina-centric team. These are definitely far from optimized, and the more I stare at Laranoa's setup, the more I ask myself whether or not a Frostbite Punisher print would actually be better than Strength double buff. This is for sure something that I'd want to manually test, but I'll leave that as an exercise for the watcher if you do happen to Spiral Laranoa yourself, as I'm not really in a position where I can justify buying Champions Testaments just for testing and footage purposes. As always, thank you very much for watching until the end. Take it easy, stay safe, and I'll catch you in the next video.